dog is smarter than your honor roll kid. I'm not here to offend anybody. But, I wanted to talk about a lot of things that Grandma Shira actually talked about as well. So we're going to talk about a few of those things. All right, real quick, I'm a Kane, I got my MBA at Nova, Ryder paid for it, I used to work for Arrowware and DHL. I'm a certified professional dog trainer, which means I actually got education on this. I didn't just hang out a sign and say, hey, I'm a dog trainer. And does anybody know what an alpha roll is? It's where you take your dog by the scruff and throw him down on the ground and you think you're a dog trainer. That's not dog training, okay? That's abuse, okay? So I actually am guided by humane principles as a part of my professional association. Hello. Okay, so I really, really embrace continuing education. That's a friend of mine and me at a conference, and we both went to University of Miami, so cross on over, don't worry. It's all good. Okay, so every industry has a buffoon. Cesar Millan is the buffoon of my industry. Is everybody okay? Did I do that? No, that was okay. Okay, so he uses very uneducated, just anecdotal, not scientific types of methods, and many of them are also inhumane. I have seen him make a fist and punch dogs. Ooh. I have seen him kick dogs. No. So that's not dog training, that's abuse, okay? So alpha is a very flawed theory. When I hear it, I just want to go like this. Same thing with dominance. Dogs just do what they want to do because they get what they get, okay? So try not to say that, at least in front of me. It pains me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so does anybody know what Ahimsa is? It's a whole principle of nonviolence towards living things, okay? So now, trust me, I'm not like one of those people that lives my whole life in peace. If somebody breaks into my house, they're going to get a bullet in their head, okay?
And your mom, she loves it.
So, but, I really do like the idea of, I come in peace, okay? I'm not here, one of our big things is, first do no harm, which is what doctors, whoever's going to med school, who's going to med school, okay? But it's the first do no harm. So I never want to harm any families, dogs, anything while we're doing this. And I found out that also includes, does anybody in the family have a peanut butter allergy? So these are weird things that dog trainers have to know because peanut butter is something we use for treats a lot. And, I just didn't realize that people's kids could die from it. So anyways, I embrace this principle, and I try to embrace it in life, okay? So I don't use choke chains, I don't use prong collars, I don't use shock collars, I don't use intimidation, okay? And I had a little aha moment. I don't know if any of you know Michelle Binkley, but I had a little aha moment. Melissa, yes, Melissa Binkley. I read an article, a blog once that really resonated with me. It was called "I Am a Raging Mom," okay, and it was about a mom that finally had that aha moment, that she raged a lot with her children, screaming and yelling for things that children do because they don't have the dexterity to do things. And apparently one day her daughter went to go reach for something and spilled rice, and you know how messy that could be. Rice was everywhere. And this mom, I may need the tissues, this mom looked at the fear in her child's eyes and had a complete breakdown and really realized that she needed to change her parenting. And this resonates with me because as a child I had a very strict upbringing, so I'm with you on that. And I walked on eggshells. I never knew when my dad was going to start screaming at me for, just things that children do. We cried over spilled milk in my house, okay? So, I decided that home should be a place that everybody feels safe, and, from any kind, I don't think my dad would ever physically harm me, but that total intimidation, yelling in your face, that is no way to go through life, okay? With our dogs or any relationship. So I talk to people about sentient beings. That means the ability to perceive and feel things, okay? So fear is something we feel. Pain is something we feel, okay? And dogs have that, pets have that. And here's kind of where I don't want to offend any moms here, but when I do comparisons between kids and dogs, it's because of these things. children and dogs live with us, okay? They're both sentient beings, so they have the ability to perceive fear and pain. Children and dogs are dependent on their caregivers, okay? And all of these items make them easy targets for abuse. And, you know, what abuse is to you may be different to something from a very fragile child or a fragile animal, okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit about reactive dog training, which is the way we did things 30 years ago, okay? We set the dog up for failure, okay? And then we used pain or intimidation to punish it. So if I said sit, and the dog got up out of the sit, I made sure I had a prong collar, and the dog went, ah, and caused that dog pain, so he would sit back down, okay? And that's the way people told me to train dogs, and I cannot believe I believed them, and I have to one day forgive myself for all the things I did to my dogs, okay? So it does not account for the emotional well-being of your animal, and it often leads to aggression, because violence begets violence, okay? And your dog has a whole set of teeth in there. So I want you to know this was staged, okay? I did my best to have that mean look on me, which I was laughing because we don't have shock collars in my house, and by the way, that's the fan remote control, okay? So, but the way we did things before was, hey, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, kind of get the dog to investigate the garbage, because I don't want the dog in the garbage, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run 4,500 volts through his neck, and be like, okay, you won't do that again, okay? But that's not training, that's abuse, okay? So proactive training, what we do is we use boundaries, okay? And we increase the likelihood of making the right choice because you don't have a million wrong choices, okay? It sets dogs up for success. It uses rewards for correct choices. It does account for the emotional well-being of the dog. And we can help build trust because the dog doesn't feel like a wrong choice will be fear, pain, intimidation, and abuse. So here's an example. Okay, this is my dog Maddie. So I have her tethered, and I didn't show the TV because normal people wouldn't tether a German Shepherd to a TV. I'll work with me here. Okay, but you know what we're doing is there's a couch behind there, and we're preventing the incorrect choice of jumping on the couch. Okay, so I put a nice comfy bed there with a nice stuffed Kong with peanut butter. That's what I was discussing earlier, to make it a little more rewarding. Okay, so I can lay on my couch and watch TV while she's all snuggled up in her bed, all right? So I know she just wants attention and affection. That's why she's trying to get on the couch with me. But I can give it to her while she's on the bed and I'm on the couch. And then if she's been good and let me watch my show, I can get on the floor with her and cuddle with her, okay? And by the way, she's really not a cuddler, so it's not really. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, how my guiding principles can make the world a better place, because you guys are so inspiring, and I always walk out of here like, wow, these are great women, and we can really make the world a better place. Okay, so you know, think about some of the things you learned, like how do we treat people that can never repay an act of kindness? That's kind of a test of character. Do we have empathy? You know, do we have the ability to understand, you know, another person or sentient being's feelings and what they're experiencing? So here's an alarming crime statistic. So did you know that most serial killers, they started out on family pets? That's where they started their career. And neighborhood pets. Because they depend on us, they trust us, and they make easy targets for abuse. So, you know, modeling empathetic behavior towards animals is a really good thing for children to learn. They learn empathy. As an only child, it's hard to learn empathy because you're the only one being abused, okay? So forgiveness, you know, it's so funny. I can have a dog almost, you know, bite me. And I'm like, you know what? I know why that happened. It happened because of all the abuse before, okay? And sometimes when somebody yells at you or has a bad day with you, you don't forgive them. But you don't know what their journey is. You don't know what their abuse was in the past. So make it easier for you to forgive people. So here's Jamie and Slater. They're clients of mine. Slater is now a therapy dog, but he crawled on his stomach to Jamie when she first adopted him from a rescue because he was so scared to do anything. So I wanted to talk about some inspiring actions. You know, what principles of Ahimsa can we bring to our relationships and our, you know, not just, you know, our family, friends, dogs, clients, but, the person who should have been giving me my coffee 5 seconds earlier at McDonald's or whatever. So inspiring action number 1, setting boundaries. So think about the whole, I set boundaries so that the dog couldn't jump on the couch. Well, a lot of us give too much away. We, especially because we're women, we're people pleasers. Yeah. Well, you need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries so that people don't disappoint you. They don't know that you don't have time for that unless you tell them, okay? So tell people what you're willing to do. Be proactive about your time and the environment, okay? So with dogs, it's all about controlling your environment. So communicate and create what you want in your environment, okay? So that people make the right choices. The people around you.
Too.
I'm sorry?
It's very good for children.
Yes, exactly. See, you're comparing children. I'm blind to things, yeah. So, and something, every living being repeats things that are rewarding. Behaviors that are rewarding will be repeated. So if you reward even the smallest act of kindness with recognition, appreciation, and love, that act is going to get repeated. So you want to make sure that, first of all, you even recognize it, okay, so that it gets repeated. And then, here's kind of the relationship that I want to have with dogs and people. I want to be with them, present in the moment, and, as I said, life should be free of intimidation and fear. And, if you are that rager, and I have been that rager, and it's all very difficult for us to forgive ourselves, but our dogs forgave us immediately. And you talked about how you forgave your parents.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that, to put in your notebook, I forgive myself for judging myself.
There you go, thank you. So just some thoughts like that to have you go through your lives. I hope I inspired you today. Thank you so much.
All right. So,